Good afternoon, good evening. I don't know when you're going to watch this video, but today you're gonna have another Flex Talk with a special guest straight from the US. His name is Joel Carboni. In my opinion, he's the most famous authority in project management and sustainability in the world. He has a great model. I translated his model for Portuguese, the Portuguese version, and Joel is here with us to talk about these very important subject that is project sustainability. Joel, thank you very much for accepting the invitation for being here in Flex Talks and discuss this subject that is really, I think it's really your passion, is also something very important for everyone, especially in the world that we are living in. And first of all, I want you to introduce yourself, where you came from, where this idea of project sustainability struck your heart, and what you're doing, and what's going to be the future.
Sure, sure. Well, happy to be here. There's a lot to unpack there. So let me start off. Um, I began my journey in sustainability back in the 80s. So I'm dating myself, obviously. I had a lot more hair back then.
Wow.
I started in scouting. And I still carry the badge with me, Project
Wow.
Soar. Keep it here on my desk. This is from like 1986. And it was a project started by Ronald Reagan, of all people. And it was about save our American resources. And at that time, I didn't really understand what the problems were with the ozone layer and everything else. But it was explained to me that we have finite resources. We want to really preserve those. Okay, so it got me kind of hooked. And in scouting, there's all sorts of opportunities to learn about nature, the environment, and different badges. So I went for all those. Later on, I became an Eagle Scout, and then I worked at a summer camp teaching ecology, nature, and environmental science. I really enjoyed that. Then, when I went to college, I started off, well, I got my degree in Japanese language and secondary education, complete divergence from what I was, interested in, but I was really good at it. And I wanted to become a Japanese teacher.
Japanese teacher.
Yeah, of all things. Yeah,
I was talking to Mike Clayton a week ago, and
sure.
he was a physicist.
Yeah,
I am a fighter pilot.
you never know where you're going to end up, right?
For a Japanese teacher, I couldn't imagine that. Everybody that starts working with the project manager has a strange and awkward background, something else.
Yeah, it's always accidental, and it was in my case as well. Um, it was a different path for me because when I went to go do my practical, my student teaching, they said, "Oh, you can't go back to your home high school. And only two other high schools have Japanese programs, and they're both full." And I'm like, "What do I do?" And they go, "How about marching band?" I said, "Marching?"
I'm sorry.
I know, and I this is like 19
I'm
1997.
sorry. I can't stop laughing at it.
And I looked at her like, "Are you an idiot?" And I said, "I don't play an instrument." And she goes, "How about Spanish?" I'm like, "I don't speak Spanish. I speak Japanese." I'm like, I'm going to be useless in the classroom. And I get so frustrated. I said, "I'm just going to graduate and see what happens." So I did. And I ended up working for a bank. It's now JP Morgan Chase. Back then it was First Chicago NBD and a bunch of other conglomerates. And I was there for about a year, got some training, and then I went to Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture. And
Okay.
my project management career really started there. I was dumped into a project to do a call center reformation up by accident because the other person left, and it was like, "Here you go." And I learned trial by fire. And so I became a project manager, and eventually it led me to working in the government, leading CapEx projects. And it was there
Was
where
it traumatic situation?
yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Well, no, it's funny actually. It was because of a goat
Uh,
that I started GPM. And I'll tell you why. I was sitting at my desk one day. I just finished a really exciting property tax system project, which is very boring. It was so boring, converting old punch cards into Windows technology. So you can imagine the systems. It was a mess. And the procurement director came up to my office and he said, "Hey, I want you to solve a problem with goats and chickens. And I'm like, goats and
What?
chickens. Yeah, goats and chickens. I said, I do IT projects. So what are you, is this some sort of acronym? GOAT? Does it mean something else? He goes, no, 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 no. Goats and chickens. It was the end of the day. He goes, I'll come back tomorrow with more details. And I'm like,
Really, really, real animals, real
yeah.
animals.
I'm like, what? So next morning, he comes up to my office and he has this great big hand cart full of binders, and they're real thick binders with paper. There's 180 of them. And I said, Bruce, I think it was Bruce, what am I looking at? He goes, okay, this is the RFP response for a project for the technology side of what we're going to try and accomplish. And I'm like, what are we trying to accomplish? He said, well, there's a property in the north part of the county where we have goats and chickens, people, we call it squatters, that's sort of living there illegally in tents. They've got generators and gray water issues and health issues. And, they're raising animals and it's not their land. I said, okay, what does it have to do with me? He said, well, one day we had the police show up and the health department show up and the building department show up at the same time. And they all realized they're all working on the same problem, but not communicating with each other. So to solve the problem, they need better collaboration. So this is really a collaboration tool so they can all work together. And I said, how many agencies are we talking here? He goes, 18. Okay. So each agency got 10 binders, right? 10 thick binders. And that was only one response. There was 10 more coming. You can imagine the amount of paper coming, right? So I opened up the first binder, and in there was a DVD. And I'm like, what's on the DVD? He goes, all the paper. And I looked at him and I said, so you want to create an efficiency project with an inefficient process? And he goes, I don't see your point. I said, why don't you just ask for a DVD? Or maybe better yet, it's 2007, a PDF. They exist. They can send you the PDF and you can just open it on your computer rather than have to flip through the pages, read this thing. I said, did they FedEx this to you? He goes, yeah. I said, I thought so. So one, the vendor had to ship all that paper. They had to spend their time flipping through pages. They couldn't do any searches or looking through anything. I said, Bruce, this is very inefficient. It's not green. And at that point, I realized all of our projects are run this way.
Yeah, most of them.
What if they didn't? What kind of impact could we have at the global scale if we encourage projects to act more green? So I decided that in that project, I was going to try something. I did lots of research. I put together what's now the P5 into a model. It was much simpler back then and baked it into our process, which we called it P2, process improvisation. That was our homegrown methodology, which
Okay.
later became PRISM because I built it. So why not just keep it, right? I didn't sign anything with the government. So we tried it out, and that project snowballed into bigger projects, which eventually helped them go from being last in economic development to first in the state. We got baseball stadiums, we got Starbucks, we got Costco's, we got people came in to build because we found that in that project, developers would come into our city, apply for a permit to build something. It would take 6 months for it to get approved because it was
Really?
paper. It would go from desk to desk to desk, getting stamp, stamp, stamp. And 18 agencies had to say so. So let's say a project comes in and the fire marshal holds it up because they want pear trees on the property. So for months it sits there while they argue about it. Meanwhile, the developer is going, what's going on? It's on paper. He has no idea. He has to actually go in the office and ask questions. So instead, we put it all online with a workflow, transparent, so they can see exactly where it's stuck. So can the public. And no politician wants to be held under the gun by the public saying, why are you holding up this project for a pear tree? It went from 6 months to like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So economic development boomed. The city flourished. It's got a brand new downtown area. It's got restaurants and hotels and condos. It's a whole new city. So to me, sustainable projects work. And our approach, our model paid dividends. It's still paying dividends. So I told them, I'm like, I think it's time for me to leave. I have bigger things to do. see you later. So I wrote the first book, put it out there, and started GPM. And it started off with just, certification board and a model that you could apply to. We had a few assessors, and it was small. And then people started asking us, well, we're not sure how to do this. Can you teach it to us? Oh, okay. So we wrote training courses. And I was getting requests from all over the world to do it. I'm like, I can't travel and be everywhere at once. How about we license it out to training companies? So everything we've done comes from demand. We've never just thought of let's create this. It was always, hey, can you do that too? Sure, we can do that. We'll figure it out. So all of our tools, our methods came from people requesting them. And we spent time.
That's great because it represents that there is a real demand around the world, isn't it?
Exactly, exactly.
It's
And
not something that you created and try to impose to someone else. Someone needs this and invites you.
right,
That's it.
right. And it's, we've matured everything over the past 16 years. Our books in the third edition, P5's in third edition, competence models in second edition. All the tools have gone through many, many, many iterations based on customer feedback and working in this type of industry and how can this benefit everybody. So we've modeled everything for years. So we think what we have right now is really, really, really good. We've aligned ourselves with the GRI. We've pulled in all their metrics so we can make sure that there's direct linkage between our outputs and their inputs. So it's pretty mature. We're really happy about where we're at. And now we're with PMI, we're able to scale it so everybody has access to these tools. And that's really the goal, right? I mean, it started off as an idea, me working in my bedroom, and now it's everywhere. And that's really what we want to see.
This is good. This is wonderful to see how a really useful idea grows and expand around the world, creating some difference, creating some value for people that the planet needs this, the people need this, projects need this. It's on. Congratulations, Joe, because I'm really excited about this because I read the P5 some years ago, and I translated it to Portuguese. It's something really amazing how you can easily apply these concepts on every single project. It doesn't matter if it's a trip with your family or you're constructing a refinery or Olympic Games. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The model is simple like that. It's applicable to anything that you want. It doesn't matter. So this is similar to Flex that you can use it anywhere. Anywhere. It doesn't matter. No, it's just like this, just like that. No, no, no. You can use the concept because the concept is so simple and you have tools that you can apply it anywhere. It depends, regardless the scale that you're using, you can do it. I think this is what I like most in the P5. I think that's how scalable the model is. It's simple in how scalable the model is. So simple, just like the Flex model. And another thing that I like that when I read and translated it is was the connections that you do, just like we do here, just like the because of ecosystem, because everything is involved around this. You see that?
Right.
You see, you connect the dots, that you need to create this sustainability. This is something very similar to the flex idea. And I think this is a very useful concept too, because nobody does anything alone, and you have to connect the dots to create the real value that you're trying to do. I think it's really amazing. Congrats.
And to me, yeah, I've had the opportunity to travel to 60 countries in this process, right? Since 2013, we kicked this off, on a global scale. I've traveled everywhere around the world, and I've walked in places that I didn't know. I've seen some things, and it made me realize that if we put these tools behind a paywall where people couldn't afford them, then what's the point? So we made them free. I mean, I'll tell you a story. We went to a university in Indonesia, and they invited us to come give a talk. And this is about maybe 5 years ago. And we said, oh, great. They were interested in putting it into their program. And we have a really good integrator into master's programs for our tools. And we work with many universities. But we went to this university, and I won't say by name, but we arrived there, and there was a military escort for us. We're like, well, what's going on? He said, oh, there's a riot that's about to happen. And I'm like, a riot? He said, yeah, the students are going to revolt against the government. So they sent you a military, because we had the Minister of Environment and Ministry of Education going to be with us there. So we get this military escort to the university, and we're kind of going, what's going on? We get there, and there's this big banner, welcoming us. It was really nice. We met with the university directors and everyone, and we asked them, how much does a master's degree cost? at this university. And they said, oh, equivalency of about 200 US dollars. And I went, oh. And they said, yeah, students, they come here and their parents will spend generations saving to send them to the school because the environment we're in, it was a very, very poor area. And I said, our program won't fit. Our certification cost $299. What do we do? And I said, this is clear that the areas that need this most can't afford a 50-euro book, right? It's just not going to work. How do we meet every school's need? And so we developed a special program for them that cost them almost nothing to where we can implement the methods and tools into programs and get people working. For them, a project is building a footbridge, to connect two small communities. It's not building skyscrapers and all these things. And so it really made me realize the objective here is to put tools in the hands of people who need them in a way that they can access them. And we've always made sure that they're free, even the templates, that they're accessible, and trying to put them in as many languages as possible, as so that way we could actually make an impact in the world and actually move the needle forward on sustainability. It's not about, look at us, we have great stuff, beat our chest. Who cares? It's about helping people.
That's a that's the idea, how to create the value for and keep the value being created around the world.
Yeah.
Okay, let's discuss what are the basic principle before the P5. What really, I know what P5 means, but some people don't know what's the P5 is.
Oh yeah, sure. So we took the triple bottom line by John Elkington, who I'm proud to say is a friend. He, it's people, planet, prosperity are the three key aspects. But you have to look at, from our perspective in project management, how does that impact us? We use processes and we develop products or assets or whatever you want to call them, outputs, whatever you want to call them, right?
So that's come the 5 Ps.
5 Ps, right? People, planet, prosperity, process, and product. And we look at each 5 of those as sort of a lens, right? So from a product side, we look at specifically lifespan and surfacing. We want to understand better what is the impact on various sustainability indicators under people, planet, prosperity to the product lifespan and servicing of it to make sure it stays in existence. Let's take a wind farm, for example, right? It has a lifespan of how many years? Well, what does it take to maintain it? So we have tried to understand the sustainability impacts of both the outcome of the project and to keep it in operations. So total asset life cycle. Then the process side, we look at efficiency, effectiveness, and fairness. So how efficient are your practices? How effective are they? And how fair are they? How equitable are they for everyone involved? From those 5 lenses, we look at we look at 49 different indicators. So 5 ways we're looking at them. There's 245 ways to look at sustainability, meaning there's nowhere to hide. And you're providing assurance for the organization saying, we've looked at literally everything. There's no other way we can slice this thing to figure out, are there problems? And we've taken this model into oil and gas companies, into healthcare companies, into banks, and they might not all be universally applicable, but there's enough there that it covers all their bases for each type. And so
It's completely adaptable. It's completely adaptable.
Completely adaptable. It has to be. There's
Yeah,
no
it has to be.
it's all. But also understanding that the regulatory pressures are out there, like CSRD, CSDDD, and the EU taxonomy. Each country now is starting to get their own ESG disclosure format. We try to make sure that everything we do can create artifacts for those disclosures as well. So that way, the organizations that have a big strategy for sustainability have a direct linkage now to the project organization. They can say, hey, we need this sort of data from you. Up until now, project managers have said, how do we do that? And what do we give you? And how does that work? This simple tool can do all of that. If you embed it in the right parts of the project, you can collect the right data, create the right artifacts, hand it over to the CSO, it becomes part of your disclosures, and you've connected all the dots. And that's really a high value for organizations.
Great. This is good. And I like the point when you talk about the integration between the projects and the operations, because this is exactly what Flex does. Because a project itself, okay, I create a product, I create a service, well, but what happens next? Maybe the product like cycle, it takes years, decades. And how are you going to sustain this? How are you going to get the things operating or all? It's good to think about how I'm going to create something that is going to be sustainable in the next 2 or 3 decades. So that's a really good important
Well,
point.
yeah, I mean, think about it. A lot of people who develop tools don't come from project management. I did. And I can tell you there were projects that we had the budget, we had the mandate, we had the scope, we had the resources, we did the project, and it sat on the shelf. They didn't use it. So why did we do this project for? Oh, because we had budget. You wasted money. There was a project that I'll never forget this. It was around voting in elections. It was an election tool. It was basically to bring awareness to candidates and to do filings. And we spent a year and a half on this project because it was a high priority, got to get this done. And we finished it. An election happened. New person came in and said, I don't want that. Okay. Year and a half of my life wasted, millions spent, garbage, waste. Great, thanks. So we have to make sure that there's a plan for integration, adoption, and use when you kick the thing off. Otherwise, you never know where it's going to go, right?
This is crazy. This is great. I think this lack of integration between projects and operations and real life and strategy it's crazy. I see anywhere around the world, anywhere. There is
Yeah.
a disconnection between these projects and transformation side and operation side, and you and sometimes disaligned with the strategy. Something it's crazy. It's a waste of time. It's a waste, pure waste of time. I read something, I think it's 5 years ago, in the middle of the pandemic. I don't remember. I can't say the name of the institution here because around 35% of the projects in the world are really aligned with the strategy.
Huh.
So
That's very
only
interesting.
35% of the projects around the world are really creating value for the strategy. Can you imagine that? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a waste of money, time, resources, and
If that metric is true, and you know, I think 40% of all stats are made up. I'm right. No, but I would agree that there are a lot of projects out there that do not align with strategy. And I've worked on a lot of them. I'm going, why are we doing this again? Someone give me the business case, and that's part of the problem.
business case. What is this?
See, and I've talked to a lot of my colleagues at PMI and other places, and I'm going, the project charter is not what you want. You want the business case. What is the
Yeah.
business need for what I'm doing? Not the go forward and conquer document. I want to know why, so that way later on, if something goes wrong, I can understand the why. Because our goal is to deliver what they want, what they need, right?
Yeah.
Not oftentimes they can't explain to us what they want. And when we finish, they go, oh, give me what I asked for, but not what I needed. Had I had the business case at the beginning, I could have understood myself and asked better questions, give you a better result. And that's always the business case to me is the document that every project manager should have in their hands, not just the charter. But I digress.
So yeah, the business case is essential. Is that to understand the needs, understand why we have to go there, and also to adapt this along the project. So it's essential that some people don't do that, but I don't understand why. But someday they will understand this, maybe.
Well, I can tell you why. A lot of our models call for a charter. And so people, oh, we got to build a charter. They don't think about giving the business case with it because we've
Yeah,
given them what they need to go forward,
yeah,
but we don't. We don't give enough information, right? I've always found that if you only have the document, you start doing requirements based off that document, you don't have the full picture. So you can't always ask the right questions, enough questions. And then executives aren't experts at translating need into go forward, strategy. So they're like, okay, well, what? If you give me that document and I can ask the right questions and give you the right information to help you
make them think.
make the right decisions,
Make
then the project gets better.
yeah, make them think about it.
Yeah.
I interviewed a friend of mine, it's called Vitor here. He's a Brazilian guy, and he said every project start failing with a great idea. Everybody has a great idea. Let's do this. This is the beginning of the failure. That's the beginning.
Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Every project and every business that failed really started with a great idea. Let's start doing this right now.
I can tell you, in our model, we've designed pushback because it's so important. And I'll tell you, project managers, I love my project managers to death, right? We're a great profession. We're not strategic enough because we're not being taught to be strategic. We're not being told to push back and say, this won't work, but I've got a better idea. So you give me what you want. I think I know what you need. Here's the impact that we're going to see if we do what you tell us, or here's this option over here because I understand the business case,
Mm.
the business need, as opposed to do this. And that's what changes the game, I think.
Okay, talking about the business case, this is very interesting point because how do you start to introduce the idea of sustainability in business cases? Because this is not usual.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
you,
I
you're
think we should start talking about this because if you start talking about sustainability early in the beginning phases of the project, which is the business case development, I think things will be a little bit change. Things will
no,
change a little.
you're right. You're right. So there's two ways. Um, when a project is born and the business case gets developed, they're thinking about the business need, right? They're thinking, here, we need to achieve this. They may not take the time to think about everything like sustainability in the business case, unless the corporation is so mature that it's just baked into the process, right? Early on, it was never in there. So we taught project managers, when you get it, expect it to have nothing. Here's what you do. So we use P5 to map all the requirements and go, what is the impact in here, 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 here? And then you create the management plan with the proposed changes to give back to the sponsor and go, okay, we've taken your business case. We understand what you want. What you need to know, if we do it this way, this will be the outcome. If we do it the way we propose, it's risk averse, it's more sustainable, costs you less in the long run. This way, you give the executive all the information at once and they can make the decision they want. Now, if they say no, and they used to say no a lot, then okay, you've done your job, right? Ethically, morally, you've done your job to say, hey, we've tried to show you the impacts. If it happens later, I'm not in trouble because we're also, as project managers, the one throat to choke when things go bad, right? Who do they go to? It's your fault. Wait a minute. I showed you this. You signed off on it saying no, back at you. And that is huge. Now, that was 15 years ago. Today, we're seeing it completely different. You'll see a little bit in the business case. Our corporate strategy says this, our mission, value, vision is this. So if it's in the mission and vision of the organization, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room to say, well, you're not putting that in the business case. We're going to help you tailor it a little bit. They rarely ever fight back on that. They won't go full blown like we suggest sometimes, but it's a start. And then as you
Yeah,
start,
it's a start. It's like something. It's just like I forgot thinking about something that is called sustainability. Let's think about it. Let's
yeah,
discuss
yeah, yeah.
this.
And because we do ours in phase gates, right? And the way our model works, we do discovery, pre-project discovery, design. During discovery, we're figuring all that out. Okay, what's missing and what do we need to do? During design, then we try and fix all that and work with the stakeholders and go, here's what we really need to do. We need this kind of budget. We need to fix that, take that away, fix that, move that around. And then we can start really moving forward. And we found that approach has saved companies a lot of money. And I'll give you an example. We had a client that was building large offshore rigs. I won't say what they were. They were in the ocean, and they were measuring the carbon emissions and reporting those in your annual reporting in the filings. And I looked at the projects and I went, at what point do you start measuring your CO2 emissions? They said, oh, at go live. And I said, let me ask you just a really simple question. Don't projects have emissions also? How many years you spend building this thing? Oh, like 7. So over 7 years, none of that had emissions. So if you file a legal document stating our emissions are X, and they're actually Y because you excluded the entire project lifecycle,
Ugh.
isn't that opening up you for a fine? And they went, oh, their eyes got real big.
Yeah.
And I said, start measuring your emissions at the project level and tie them both together because the total asset life cycle includes.
There's a life cycle. It really matters. The whole life cycle.
Yeah. And so they did. And they were like, I can't believe we didn't think of that. I'm like, it's simple, right? You'd think it'd be simple, but we're not trained that way. Project managers aren't trained that way. We don't push back. We don't think about these things. The nice thing about our model is from day one, you look at the whole map and go, could this be an issue? Could that be an issue? Could that be an issue? And we uncover all kinds of things. Child labor, for example, right? A lot of you,
Who?
child labor,
Okay.
right? Important topic. No one likes slave labor. No one likes child labor, right? It's illegal almost everywhere in the world.
Okay.
And you would think that big corporations are good at mitigating this kind of risk. So we were working with another client and we said, okay, in our model, this is an element. We're going to ask you some questions. They go, okay, sure, it's illegal, not a problem. We have a policy for that. Okay, show me the policy. Oh yeah, looks pretty good. Okay. Across the hall, a colleague of mine was assessing a project. And he asked the project manager, child labor, any issues? He goes, actually, yes. And he went, what? He goes, oh, we had this construction site and a vendor of ours brought a 13-year-old on site to do work.
Hmm.
And he goes, oh, what did you do? Oh, we just sent him home. Huh. And so he comes across the hall to me. He goes, hey, guess what I just heard? So I've got the executives in the room and I'm like, so we just talked about child labor a few minutes ago. Remember that? And they go, yeah. Well, the policy you said you have, you're not following it. What do you mean? Well, Project X over here had child labor issues. It never got back to you. The vendor never got fired per your policy, and they could be doing it again. And that's now your problem. I said, because if I can find out about it with 2 questions, so can Twitter, so can YouTube, so can TikTok, or whoever else. And they went, oh, I said, audit your policies and enforce the practices. Otherwise, you could take your entire company down. So sustainability is more wide reaching than just cycling and planting trees. And it's about governance.
No, it's nothing to do with it. Nothing.
No.
It's much more. It's, I don't know. I don't have words to say how many things can be impacted by this. How many things? It's crazy. It's crazy. Really crazy.
But I'll tell you, it's really fun work because when we get into these companies and we show them how this works, they're like, sky's the limit with this. We can fix so many things. I'm like, yes, you can.
Why do you think? Why do you really think that people are changing their mindset and their point of view around this? Is it a question of literacy or absence of literacy, or what is changing that's making people realize the importance of this?
I'd like to say it's our advocacy, but it's not. It's not me. No, it's every executive knows it's important. They don't know quite what it is per se. They just hear the word, they go, yeah, we need to be doing some of that. We don't really know what it
Do you think
means.
it's a buzzword or something that they need just to
Yeah.
be applied in something else, or they are really knowing
Yeah.
the importance of this?
And then we have some, pioneering person in that company that comes together, gets a training, certification. They say, hey, can you come talk to my guys? Because they're not getting it and they need some help. So we'll go in and let's talk and maybe do a consult or something, but we explain the value. It's about resiliency to your business. They go, oh, tell me more. Right? You speak their language, right? Let's do the right thing and you can make more money. They go, we like that. What that entail? So we just walk them down the path and explain how it works. And we ask them, would you rather find a problem at closure or at planning? And they go, oh, yeah, for sure. Use this process. It'll tell you everything you need to know at the end. And you can look at the entire life cycle and realize how it evolved. And that in and of itself is a marketing story. Our journey to sustainability started here and we ended up here. Look at us. We're great. Everybody wins.
And do you see in your journey in this company, all these companies, 60 countries, you said it, 60 countries?
I've been in 60 countries here and there, yeah.
Okay. You see people really changing their mindset about it?
Yeah.
Or just implementing because it's important for our business?
I think that the more that we see the impacts of climate change affecting
Yes.
us,
Yeah.
it's real. You remember in
Yeah.
the 80s we had the problem with the ozone layer?
This is amazing. This is amazing, Joel, because I think because okay, I understand that business is important, people are important, but to see the change on people's mindset, people keep feeling about this. I think this is the most important thing that we have to implement that.
It is. Do you remember in the 80s we had the problem with the ozone layer?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, there's a hole in the ozone layer. We got to close it. What do we do? Stop using hairspray, right? What? It did like, what? You know, yeah, big cans of Aquanet I used to have, right? When I had a lot of
Yeah.
hair. And but we fixed it.
Yeah.
We solved it, right? With us today, 53% of projects are being impacted by climate change. And that's a stat you can hang your head on. So here's how that works. Your project is humming along, going fine. All of a sudden, logistics can't come in because something's stuck in a port
Hmm.
because of a drought or sea issues or hurricanes. So we're not getting our supplies. Or in the US at least, we have wildfire season getting worse, hurricane season getting worse, and our seasons are all out of whack. It's October now, and it was 85 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday. That should never happen. So we're seeing delays in projects. And so I bought a new home last year, and the builder told me that their problems are incredible. And so I explained to him about the climate change impact. He goes, I see it completely. He said, it's made our costs go up. Everything is getting worse. So the impacts of climate change to our projects are intense, and our impacts to climate change are also intense.
That's
It's a
it.
relationship.
It's a cycle, isn't it? It's a
It
cycle.
is.
Cycle.
And so my thought is if we can put these tools in every project manager's hands as a collective, millions of us out there can make a little change, it has a massive ripple effect on the entire planet
Hmm.
because we're the one profession as our finger on the pulse of all change. But we
Because
also,
as a project manager, you are creating change.
yes,
You're trying to create a change in something, creating new products, new services that are going to impact the life of anybody else in the world. That's why we're building buildings, companies, industries, softwares, whatever. We're trying to build something to change something. And in this process, we are co-responsible for that.
yeah, doing the right thing for the right reasons, the right way.
Yeah,
And that's really the key, is doing it the right way. And we're proud that our approach is repeatable. It can be tucked into PMOs for governance, and it's scalable, like you mentioned earlier on, right? It's you can use it for a small project like a footbridge, all the way to a gigastructure. And we have to understand the impact of our work. Sometimes I go to places and they'll say, "Well, how does this affect me?" Right? For example, my favorite is working with people in Agile. My favorite agilistas, right? They'll go, "This doesn't affect me. What are you talking about?
software.
Equal rights and these types of things." I'm like, well, you need to think about it, right? I mean, even in software projects, it's a big deal because not all software is built in-house. It's outsourced, right? You've got APIs that are built by some small firm here or over there, or something that's custom tailored over here or over there. And I remember, I like to tell stories. Uh, Several years ago, I was giving a lecture, actually with Greg Balistrero.
Stories are good. Stories
Yeah,
are
yeah.
good for remember things.
So I was actually in France with Greg Balistrero giving a lecture on the SDGs when they first came out, right?
Okay.
And I had this, you guys call it a football, we call it a soccer ball, because you sock it with your foot. Football, you throw with your hands, just so we're all clear. So we're,
I'm from Brazil. I'm from
I
Brazil.
know, I know, I know. Americans,
Soccer for me is something different. It's football.
Americans throw footballs. You guys kick them. I don't know.
Yeah, I know,
I
I
know.
know.
Anyway, so we were in the south of France, and I have an SDG football. It has all 17 on them, and I use it as a prop, because sometimes you need to warm the audience up. So I throw it in the crowd and say, "Pick one and let's talk about it." So I had it inside my backpack, and my talk was going nowhere. I tried to be a little bit fun in my talks and use humor, but it was just deadpan face, like I was talking to robots, and I'm like, "What am I not firing on?" So finally, there's like maybe 300 people in this room in this amphitheater. The guy raises his hand and he goes, "I'm sorry, but I don't see how this relates to us at all." And I'm like, "Oh boy." And my colleagues look at me like, "What are you gonna do now?" And I said, "Tell me, what do you do?" He goes, "I'm an agile project manager. I work on software systems." I'm like, "Okay, for who?" He goes, "Oh, the airline industry. We build ticketing systems." I'm like, "Oh, cool, cool work. I'll probably spend a lot of money on your systems." I said, "All right." So I tossed him the football. So what's the first thing you see? Reduced inequalities. All right. He goes, "No clue." I said, "All right." So I had to think for a minute. "All right, I got a question for you. Do you build all the software here in your office, in your company?" "Well, most of it. Most of it, not all of it." What do you not build?" "Well, there's some things we need to outsource, some bits and pieces, APIs and things." I said, "Okay, to where?" He thought for a moment. I said, "Let me follow that up with another question. Do you oversee any aspect of the vendor selection process and set the criteria?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm on that team." "Okay. So tell me, on a project you're working on right now, I don't care what it is, just tell me, who do you outsource to? Who are some of your vendors?" "Well, some are in Pakistan." I said, "Stop. Can you ensure to me that that team that you just hired to build an API into your system will eventually go to Air France or someone else is being paid a livable wage
Hmm.
or is working in an environment that is safe and fair?" He went, "No." I said, "Because let me guess. It was best lowest cost wins the bid, right?"
Yeah.
"Typically, yeah, we take three bids and lowest usually wins." I said, "What if, for just sake of argument, you put in your vendor selection criteria, they must provide proof that employees earn a living wage and are working in safe conditions?" You could elevate the entire process with those two little lines and reduce inequalities. You have complete authority to do that and the power to do that and change people's lives.
The right to be that.
Yeah. And he said, "I never thought of it like that.
Mhm.
Reduce inequalities starts with you,
So,
projects."
Joe, this is why people always think about sustainability as just the planet, just one of the piece, just the planet, just one of the piece. But this is not. This is not the case. This is not. It's about people also, about the planet, people, and profits also, as you said. Just three P's of the fives. But it's so awkward how people just think about planet, 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 planet. That's all you take care of the people. You must take care of the people.
Well, in our corporate logo, we have three colors. We
Yeah.
have blue, green, and orange.
Yeah.
So we use all three to represent the three different domains. And I got to tell you, um, green project management doesn't mean just ecology.
That's it.
Green is the color of regeneration. And I'll use my scouts as an example, right? I'm going to camp out next weekend with my scouts. I've got 20 of them, 11, 12-year-old kids, drive me crazy, but I love them. And and we tell them when we leave the campsite, leave it better than you found it.
Mhm.
And we have this policy called leave no trace, like you were never there in nature. But we tell them leave it better than you found it. Clean something up, make something better. And projects should be the same way. For over 100 years, we've based it on time, cost, and scope and extracting resources to build what we need without thinking about, is there enough resources left for the future? We
Mhm.
have to now regenerate, go back and fix what we've broken, and continuously regenerate so we can sustain that future regenerated state. That's why regeneration is the way forward. And anyone who tells you it's not doesn't know what they're talking about. And I've seen books come out recently talking about sustainability and project management. Doesn't talk about regeneration. I'm like, right in the trash. You're just do no harm. Do no harm got us here, right? It doesn't fix anything. It just keeps the problem persisting. We don't want any of that. So if
Mhm.
they're talking regeneration, don't listen to that person. They have no idea what they're talking about.
But this is good at the story of scouts that you're talking about because you start creating something different on their minds,
Yeah.
regardless the profession they're going to follow. this is going to be on their mind since they're a child. So this is good.
It is. And it when you do it that way, you connect with something more internal. Like this is how humanity should be, right?
Yeah.
We don't break things.
This is where the change starts.
Yes.
This is where the change starts. Uh, can I ask you an example? Can I ask you an example of something, a project that you took part or make an intervention on this project that things were bad and with your process, with your idea, things really changed along the project, not over or at the end of the project or at the beginning, but during the project. Is it possible to change something on the fly?
It is. It is. I can give you an example. So it's not a project that I was in, but a
Okay.
colleague of mine, and this is actually in my new book. Um, she was required to build. It was like a city project, and there was
Mm,
no green belt built in. But she found out that this was a migratory path that was really necessary and would have major ramifications if they excluded it. And so halfway through the project, she was able to convince them, let us put this back in there. I know that you got to cut the budget, but if you don't do this, the migratory path will be completely destroyed and it's going to have major havoc on the city. And they did it and it solved all the problems. So it's about being able to connect the need beyond just the human need to the greater need. And I've seen some really amazing projects over the last several years. We're building. I think it's in Sweden. I think Sweden. I'll give Sweden credit. Sure, it's in Sweden, where they're building highways, but while doing so, they're building overpasses for nature, so that way no one gets stuck, gets run over in the process. It's these
mm,
types of innovations, thinking about the whole ecosystem, not just our human need, and that's really really incredible.
okay. And now I want an example where they didn't apply that and cause a bad impact on company's reputation. Is it possible? Is there a case? Okay, it didn't do that, and I can remember one. I can remember one.
Sure.
Uh, the BP in the Gulf, Mexican Gulf.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
you see,
That
it,
was
it's
so bad they had to change their name because they were British Petroleum, right?
yeah, BP.
Now they're Beyond Petroleum. Just,
See that? It was the impact was huge, isn't it? The impact was
in that
huge.
project, they didn't have a risk register.
I think it was not a project. I think it was already the operations of the process, isn't it? They
Yeah,
were they
yeah.
were
But,
they're
but
drilling, they're drilling, they're drilling, they're drilling.
there was no risk register.
Really?
That's that. Now, I'm not the authority of the project, but that's what I've been told.
Oof. As a risk management, I have a good goosebumps about it.
Right.
Wow. In an operation like that, so it's crazy. You see, one simple question could have changed everything,
Yeah.
could have changed the whole story. I don't
You know,
know that.
I have a great example for you of a project that did it really well.
Well,
This is a couple of years ago, and it was in Vietnam, and it was a development firm that actually they used our method. It was fantastic. They were going to build a community space with high rises for living, retail, so it's sort of a mixed use facility right next to the Setnagu River. Now that river was polluted. You couldn't. They relied on it for fishing, but you don't want to eat that fish. It was really really bad, and all the runoff for the buildings were running right off into the river, they're tossing garbage into it. And they thought, what if, as part of our project, we expanded the scope to include the river reclamation,
hmm.
and we made the mixed use space also make use of the river. And so they figured it out. They were able to clean up 40% of all of the garbage and waste in the Kim and Setnagu rivers. And those flow out into the ocean. One project. So this was in Hanoi.
Just one, just one.
Yeah. 40% of the waste going into the rivers was cleaned up just by the one project. And because of the project, the rest of the city rallied around them. And now those rivers, you can take boats down them, you can fish, completely clean.
Wow. How long does it take?
A couple of years.
A couple of years.
I mean, nature bounces back fast once you really get out of its way.
Well, if you we are running out of time right now. It's about 1 hour. And if you have 3 tips on how to start implementing sustainability in our companies and on our projects, what would be your major 3 tips?
Off the top of my head, okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I pulled your right. I pulled
Let
your
me
rag.
let me think. So the first one is,
The first thing that came to your mind, whatever it is,
so let me tell you, start small.
start small.
And
Okay,
what I mean by that is, don't do something small, start small. Pick a spot where you think this might have an impact and a change and try it, right?
quick wins, quick
Quick wins,
wins.
quick wins. Yeah.
Okay,
Go for the low hanging fruit. That way you can prove and validate it to where you report to you that this works, right?
but it's
They,
worth
they
that's
want to see
worth
the results.
investing on this. That's worth investing
Right,
on this.
right,
Okay,
right.
great, loved it. I loved it.
The second tip is don't bite off more than you can chew.
Mm.
Because sometimes you want to fix everything all at once.
Yeah, it's
You don't always have
impossible.
the authority to tackle what you can, because once you're able to prove that it works, you get more buy-in.
Okay, inside the Flex model, the last version of Flex model, I created something that minimal sustainable change.
Okay.
Okay, something that you can change, just like Kaizen, something that you can really change, that you can improve endlessly, and you grow, you grow, you grow, you grow. This is the idea that we're talking about, isn't it? So
Yeah.
this is good.
Third one is really about mindset. It's you don't have to change the world. Just make a small change in your world.
Mm,
And then share that story because people we're creatures of habit. And once we hear something that inspires us, we're gonna want to do it too. So
great.
don't keep it to yourself. Share your victories and share your failures because this is how we
Learn, learn from this. Learn from this.
yeah.
This is great. You
I
see,
failed. I fail all the time. Just ask my wife.
this is not a case. This is not a case. But this is great. This is great. What do you think about our chat here? I think it's great. It's
It's
great.
really fun. Really
You
fun.
see, just 1 hour, and we talk about many things. It's great. Guys, Joel, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge here. Thank you, idea. I think I have to congratulate you for your inspiration and your effort in making these things happen. I think this is a really, 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 really real change in the world of project management, and not only project management, but in all industries around the world. Thank you very much for your job. Congratulations for your success, and I hope you have a long life doing this. And thank you for taking part of the show here.
Thank you,
Your
man.
last words, if you have a good have a message for us.
Oh, God. I'm gonna go back to what I just said, right? You
Okay.
don't change the world, just make a small change in yours, but start now because the world needs you.
Yeah, we have to start now. Okay, we don't have to wait for something happen for us to change. We have to do something now.
Come get our tools. They're free. You don't have to be a member. Just download them. They're free. Take them, use them, and tell us how it went. We love stories.
That's it. Thank you very much. Hey guys, I hope you have liked our talk now. And we're finished here, unfortunately, but it's 1 hour a slot. And if you like this talk, consider subscribing to the channel. We will share it, whatever, give us likes. Thanks, Joe. Thank you. Hope to see you soon somewhere in the world.
Sounds good.
Okay, I like to see you in the monk in the gorillas there in Africa. I think you're there.
That was an experience. That
Yeah, I always wanted to be there. When I saw you there, I was thinking, oh, you said it was a dream, and it's like, oh my God, he did it. It's Rwanda, isn't it? Was in Rwanda.
it was worth it.
So
It was amazing. Life changing.
amazing. They're friendly or something scary.
Um, they were in their own habitat and they were focusing on eating everything in their path. So we weren't really a problem for them. Um, we had to learn to communicate with them to tell them that we were friendly just by grunting at them, which is really cool. But I was 2 meters from these guys.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing,
One
surreal.
day you'll be one day you'll be there. Okay. See you. Hey guys, be flex. See you in the next video.